Keep in mind, guys, Mana does have one more game to make up. He has to make up Alicia versus Mana, which is also another PvP. But I think if Hero wins this, or Hero loses this, he still has to face Ganzi, who hasn't been playing well, but I feel like, you know, Ganzi still is capable of winning a series. It's not like Hero was completely favored to win. Then Hero would be 4-4, but vice versa. He could be 6-2 if he wins his next 2 matches. Mana has to face Beastie Cutie after this as well, so it only gets easier after Hero, but everyone knew that because Hero's one of the favorites.
Beastie Cutie definitely not an opponent that you really want to be comfortable against, though, because I'm sure they play all the time, and Beastie Cutie actually has a really nice record against other Europeans. So Mana probably not looking forward to his future matches, but remember, he has to win them. But let's go ahead and get into Daybreak, one of the most passive PvP maps. We have Mana starting in the bottom left-hand corner as the green Protoss, blue Protoss. Up in the top right-hand corner is Hero. Blink Stalker not too good on this map, Frodan.
Yeah, I don't really think Blink is really strong build on Daybreak just because there's not much surface area to play with. Busting a ramp is very hard. And the map's kind of big, and even with its bigness, with its bigotry, you can't blink over close. That was an improper use of the word, I know.
No, I think that was right. No, and look at the main. Its bigotry is just so extensive, and I feel like that really lends itself to just being open and being able to move around really nicely. So you can see the Immortals, if I put them right here, they can move back if ever Blinkstalkers are over here somehow or another. But because Blink is so bad on this map, it really lends itself to robo play, which could be in the form of something like a 4-gate robo, and then you use warp-ins from your use warp-ins via the warp prism to really catch your opponent out of position if they go for something like a Sentry Immortal expand or something super eco, or I don't know, something that doesn't have a lot of units. You can also go something like Stargate play, which gets Phoenixes out super fast, and you're able to take out a lot of your opponent's vision, and not only that, possibly put a lot of pressure on them with, you know, ground army plus Phoenixes.
Yes, actually, I talked about this with a couple people. In PvP, I feel like Daybreak's the best map for Stargate, just because of how your entry point is pretty safe through the side of the map. You can't get blinked and basically lose Phoenixes. And you have exit ways almost every single direction, because you can kind of go in the corner, they can't touch you. You're also really safe against any kind of like Warp Prism. They want to go for that proxy robo 4-gate, you know, with like a Warp Prism. They can't do that either. And we actually see Mana going for a Stargate. Mana doesn't necessarily a player that always chooses to go Stargate, but I'm interested to see what he does because he has been training in Korea. And Caldor did release in his video that Mana was practicing very hard. I'm interested to see what kind of strategies he's able to apply to his PvP.
And I like Stargate, especially going up against a Robo, when you heavily invest on sentries to keep you safe against potential gateway timings. You'll a lot of times get vulnerable to Stargate since it's not really a good anti-air. Like, obviously those Phoenixes are able to mow down sentries just because they're light, so they deal double damage against them, and they don't have a lot of HP. So how you actually play this out if you're in Hero's shoes is actually you overmake sentries. You can actually make up to 8 sentries and then push from there. And it's just way too many sentries to the point where you will lose a Phoenix if you try to engage against it. And that's actually a really clever way that Axlav taught me how to deal with Phoenixes in PvP.
Really? Axlav taught you that?
Yeah.
Well, Axlav is really cool. Oh, sorry, he's really, well, yeah, first of all, he is really cool. He's very creative in how he thinks about PvP, because he, for a while, was going Phoenix DT back in the day, man. But that was on maps like Shakuras where you can kind of get away with it. Don't think you can necessarily get away with it anymore on this scenario, but we'll see how things pan out. Hero sees 2-0-2 Sentry. Now that's that is an early composition where he can go either Robo or for Phoenixes. Now he does see the Phoenix with his Observer, but I know for a while like Puzzle used to do that kind of build, 2-2 Sentry, Phoenixes, and to a Robo directly afterwards and start cranking out Immortals because you expect them to make Stalkers. And from there you actually expand and you're really safe against everything else. Although, what do you think right now of both players' builds? Heroes looks like he's going directly into a Blink transition, which is pretty standard.
I think the Twilight Council is unnecessary, actually. A lot of times in my practice games, I've tried going Twilight Council, and Huangson has tried going Twilight Council, and a lot of times it just puts you pretty far behind to the point where mana can actually get up in his immortal count. He can actually go ahead and expand because of this. Seeing the Twilight Council, it really doesn't do too much. What you are normally basing your army around is your sentries and your immortals in this position when you go to the robotics facility so fast. So you're like hard countering Phoenix at this stage, but Phoenixes are going to be phased out in a little bit. At any time, mana could say, well, I'm not going to make these anymore.
One Phoenix did get sniped. Yeah, and I think you're right. Just like stop at a certain Phoenix count is always nice. 4 is always a very sweet number in terms of being able to lift and pretty much instant sniping the probes.
That's right. Nexus will go down. I think Mana is playing this out really nicely. He's going ahead, putting down Immortals for himself. Now, yes, Blinkstalkers can be very, very good, but if you get 3 Immortals, you're able to deal with a massive amount of Blinkstalkers, actually. These Phoenixes will do a good job. Wow! Taking out a couple of probes, that's actually really, really surprising.
He's doing it in the face of the Stalkers, man. It's pretty ballsy.
Yeah. So, kind of cheeky there, but still, nice job. I think Hero will be pushing out, but I'm not sure for certain. He is behind economically. You can see the Nexuses. It's slightly advantaged for mana.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the early build order advantage you get from going Stargate over Robo. Yeah. Especially with this build that, again, I don't know who else to credit to. A lot of people say that Hero also used to do this build a lot in terms of Phoenix Robo, and you try to expand really quick. But I saw Puzzle really refine it. That's actually what made him super scary back in NASL Season 3 before, you know, Puzzle had to retire and eventually do other stuff. But I think this build is superb, especially because you have a leg up tech-wise over your opponent at all points of the game. The only exception might be Blink. But even then, if you have a good Immortal count, you should be able to handle it.
3 Immortals are on the way out right now, so that's looking really, really good for mana. If he plays this right and puts his force fields down correctly, he should be able to pick up his opponent's Immortal and then deal with everything. And I really feel like this is going to be almost impossible for Hero to really do damage. He's going ahead and putting a little pressure, killing off this Disruptor Rocks, really making it uncomfortable. But
that's going to help a lot. Although, nice follow force fields from Mana to be able to snipe everything.
Nice
Immediately
job.
sniping the full energy Sentry. That's also huge as well. Great moves from both players. The Sentry does get picked up. Oh! Wait, was that a force field from Mana to push his own Immortal?
I have no clue, but that was winning right there, man.
I might want to get a replay of that later on, because that was
Charlie Sheen level right
there.
That
was winning here and winning there. I don't know if that was Mana's own force field or Hero, but either way, that Immortal is now safe, and that is bad news because now these Phoenixes have enough energy to lift the Immortal as well. The Stalkers do have to blink, but there's a lot of Zealots blocking the damage, and Hero's Stalkers are trapped. They can't blink away. Lots of damage, incredible amount of DPS being dealt to all of it. Hero down 50, supply to 80.
Mana so far ahead. Look at this. He has his 3rd gas. Hero does not. Just now putting his 3rd and 4th gas. That's where his advantage is. No, I'm just kidding, guys. His advantage is in the Colossus and the Immortal count. Not only that, he has a couple of Phoenixes to disable some units. So if any power units come in, like Immortals, like Colossus, they can actually be focused on with the Phoenixes, either by disabling or destroying. That's really, really advantageous. Now, Blink is in the advantage of Hero, but he doesn't have to care about that. He can just say, well, I can go for a base trade knowing, yeah, you're going to kill me eventually with 7 Blink Stalkers, but when it comes down to it, how are you going to actually deal with 3 Immortals? That's going to be so tough. I felt like in this position, Mana, just go for it. Don't even care. And I think he's going to do that. Thermal Lance is on the way. 2nd Robo underway for Hero, but that is super, super delayed.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do to come back, though. He's so far behind in just raw Robo time. 2 Colossus out for Mana, 3 Immortals, and he's got only 1 single Colossus. Hero's got to swing for the fences in order to come back in this game.
Yeah, but I think if Mana knows what's up, he should actually just beeline it over to his opponent's base and go for an engagement while taking a 3rd base. And look at that. He is taking a 3rd base. Beautiful. He's not actually committing to this. I feel like you should immediately just take map control. There's no reason to give these Stalkers any form of mobility. So go and take your opponent's watchtower. Make it really uncomfortable for them to move around the map. And then from there, you just take your advantage.
Yep, I agree. I think Mana doesn't necessarily have to push, although I agree. I think if he did push, he would have just straight up killed.
Yeah. Right now, he missed the timing. Like, you don't want to be really pushing into defensive Colossus. Although, I don't know if he really reads this, but there is no Thermal Lance for his opponent. You can see Thermal Lance just now started, so this could be really good for Mana. And he's going to go for it, Frodan.
We'll open up the destructible debris, so that way there's a lot more surface area for him to walk in. 3 Colossus against 2.
My.
Nope, 3rd Colossus coming in for Hero. He's going to have to micro his life out.
Don't forget, there's those 3 Immortals and Thermal Lances already finished for Mana, so this is going to help out so much. There goes the Immortals going forward, taking out both of the Colossus, actually just disabling the other one. Oh my god, Colossus go down so fast with those Immortals.
The Blink, though, from behind, trying to work onto some of the Colossus, but the Guardian Shield actually reducing the damage. Very surprising amounts of reduction there. Mana doing so much damage. Mana's just going to win game number 1 in awesome fashion. Hero doesn't hold a chance. GG. Mana takes game number 1 in the PvP to show you that, you know what, this match is definitely worth watching. It was awesome.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Let's go ahead and look at the replay. Does he actually force heal himself?
Right, so first, I love to pick up the full energy sentry. You just have to see whether or not that sentry was able to drop a force field.
He didn't.
No, that was Hero.
That was Hero.
That would have been so cool, though. It's like you save your own immortal by force fielding again.
That would be cool.
I still think the game was awesome, man.
It was. You know, that's why when you're up against when you're up against Phoenixes and you have gone for a robo opening with so many sentries in the beginning, you need some pre-robo timing. When your opponent is about to switch over to Immortals, you need them to actually splurge in a couple of Stalkers and Sentries to really slow down their tech. Else you're going to be in a situation where they can catch up because of their economic advantage. The real power when you start out in Robo is going to be getting those Immortals out. The Immortal count is so important. So if you can protect them with good Force Shield, with good Guardian Shields, then you're in a great position. But how it stood, the attack from Hero was just way too late. He let the Phoenix count get too high, and you need to punish your opponent when they have such a small army and just getting their Nexus.
Game number 1 was brought to you by Epson. Epson is the #1 projector brand worldwide. Check them out at epson.com. We'll be back with game number 2 between Mana vs. Hero. Fireworks already in game number 1. More explosions coming up.